CNBC TV 18 presents the AI Dialogues in association with IBM.
Hello and welcome to cnbc.tv18.com presents AI Dialogues in association with IBM. I'm Mridu Bhandari. Today, as consumers in the digital age, we all want brands to read our minds, offer us products and services where we want, when we want, how we want, usually with a quick swipe on our smartphones. To make this happen, brands are working hard to harness emerging technologies, particularly artificial intelligence. The marketing function of enterprises engages with end consumers directly, and this is seeing rapid transformation, most recently with generative AI. From predicting consumer behavior using data, to generating engaging content for marketing campaigns, to measuring the success of these campaigns, there's a lot that AI is being used for. Yet, there are also concerns around the ethical use of AI, the chances of misinformation to consumers, and exclusion of certain kinds of audiences due to algorithm biases. So on the show today, we are sitting with top industry leaders and exploring new frontiers in marketing with GenAI. Let me then welcome Ravi Santhanam, CMO of HDFC Bank, Rohit Bhasin, President and CMO, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Anoop Manohar, CMO of Axis Bank, Nipun Kaushal, CMO Yes Bank, Senthilkumar VG, Head of Marketing and Branding at Bank of Baroda, and Tuhina Pandey, Director, Marketing and Communications at IBM India and South Asia. Welcome, Tuhina and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the AI Dialogues. So we're going to talk about how all of the marketing functions of leading banks of India are seeing a transformation because of using AI and generative AI. And Ravi, if I can dive right into it with you, marketing has over time become a revenue-led function. Used to be seen as a cost center not so long ago. So give us a sense then what is happening at HDFC Bank when it comes to harnessing AI. How is it helping you improve strategic thinking, positioning of the brand, revenue generation capabilities? Give us a few examples of what's happening.
Sure. Thanks for having me here. See, revenue generation started because of digital and the ability of us to harness the digital technologies to make sure that the consumer needs are fulfilled. What AI is doing is enabling that to be done at a faster pace and at a larger scale. Ability to start segmenting the customers and identifying the right kind of products for them, and also hyper-personalizing communications. All these are now possible with the scale that AI is able to offer to us. At a strategic level, what it is enabling all of us to do as brands, and particularly in the BFSI sector, is you are in a position to go ahead and make an ambition come into reality by quickly changing things which were not possible earlier. With the advent of AI and the measurement tools that comes along with it, you can try and keep trying, keep failing fast, and keep trying the right things to get to your goal. And that's where we see the power of AI really pushing us to actually be of service to our customers.
Right. No, that's a good point that you touched upon. And Rohit, if I can come to you as well, a lot of that begins with organizing data. And give us a sense then how data is being organized in your organization, and what sort of predictions is AI helping you make as a marketer?
Actually built our data team into what I call as the compute layer and the consume layer. So the compute layer comprises of data scientists who will build the right algorithms to be able to predict what is the right behavior that the consumers will show in response to the data. And the compute layer is comprising of data analysts and the marketing team, which actually will ask the right questions to the data to be able to kind of define the right insights on which you can kind of act. So that's the way we have structured our data. And for me, the best use of AI, of course, we talk a lot about reducing costs, being able to automate routine tasks. But for me, the best use of AI is actually when it can analyze lots of data, predict consumer behavior, and personalize propositions and products to be able to drive business growth. That for me is the most fundamental use of AI in my view.
Right. Tuhina, bringing you in. So at IBM, of course, you are enabling a lot of that which banks and companies across diverse sectors are doing. IBM's AI capabilities are powering diverse businesses across sectors today. So give us a sense of how you are enabling businesses to integrate GenAI models with customer data to really serve some of these personalized experiences that they're talking about, and what's the big challenge really there?
Absolutely. So we heard them talk about it, right? And this is a journey that most of our clients have been for a while. But what has happened now is an inflection point. It's a powerful moment because suddenly the AI is far more democratized. Your imagination is your skill, your language is your skill. Everybody has access to the technology like never before. So the interest and expectation of our business stakeholders, our clients, are also peaking. And the journey that we are on with our clients right now is to look at where do we apply AI where it's most value accretive, where it's maximum relevance for their end users, for example. That is there. And just to give a couple of examples, Mridu, one is, of course, my hot favorite right now is Wimbledon. And we've done multiple features. We've been on a journey with them. The recent one is Catch Me Up, where you get your summary card for each player. You can make your own list. Then, of course, we'd introduced What's Next, which is our generative AI platform based commentary on video highlights and things like that, which is sort of augmenting the human and the AI journey together. Closer home, one of the examples is our client bestsellers. Now in India, when you think of fashion, it changes every 3 kilometers, perhaps less. It's very diverse. But they are leveraging AI to sort of, what merchandise and what store for which segment of clients at what time, and then sort of leveraging What's Next to say, what's on trend, what's my season collection look like. So fashion, fragrance, sports is there. And I will say, anchor that thought with regulated industries like the BFSI, for instance, banking, insurance. One of the things at IBM that we are over-indexing on is the governance piece and focusing on foundation models, making sure that their data is well represented. And we're kind of doing many experiments and deployment with our clients. So those are a couple of examples that I could think of.
Yeah, so you briefly touched upon responsible AI, and I'm going to come back to you with that. But just to bring in Anoop as well, at Axis Bank, then tell us your success stories with AI, or perhaps failure stories in marketing where AI is concerned. Since we're all experimenting right now with the technology, what are some AI-powered marketing campaigns that you've done that have really resonated with your customers?
So our biggest experiment that we are running right now is we have this generative AI tool called Adi, Access, whatever. Right, that's. But Adi is really empowering the frontline folk, like people in the branches. A lot of times people join the bank and they don't know the policies, they don't know what the customer has to do, and they're forced to search for it with the customer sitting right in front of them, right? So what we've done is we've developed this tool. It's now available to 61,000 employees. Very soon it's going to get scaled up across the bank, but it's still in a beta stage, to be fair, but it's answering questions that employees have and helping them serve the customer better. What we've also done is integrated it with what the team calls structured and unstructured. So this is obviously unstructured data, but it's also at the same time pulling up, we have a tool called Kaleidoscope that pulls up your last 60-day transaction. So when the customer is sitting in front of you, you're getting a view of what he's done for the last 60 days, plus you are, let's say, has a question on credit card and, why hasn't my statement come or whatever, and at the same time if he has any query about the features, etc., it's all pulled up using the tool. So it's pulling both these things together and giving that to the employee. We are seeing some good results.
Nipun, adding to what Yes Bank is doing, and any AI-led marketing campaigns yet, and what role is AI playing, if any, in optimizing some of these campaigns and measuring performance as well? Give us a sense of what's happening.
So as you rightly said, marketing is no more just a cost center. It is actually an ROI-driven center. So having said that, when we look at campaigns are generally there to generate business from the existing database. So we don't do campaigns, much of it with the new customer. So we have nearly 6.5 million active customer base. How do we engage with them? We have not fully started with AI, but we are still experimenting, flirting around with the entire concept of AI, because being a regulated entry, you have to be doubly sure on before you get into implementing something. Having said that, today a general process which all of us would be following is you build a propensity model and then you do a segmentation and then you send out a campaign. I think what we are trying to see is how can I personalize this campaign? How effective is my propensity model? Because end of the day, there is a cost involved in even sending out a communication.
Correct.
It's a fantastic technology, but is it the best fit for me? I think that's the question which we are answering. On the other side, we are also seeing how you can, do generative AI.
And Senthil, if you want to add to that, I think yours is the oldest organization here, barring IBM perhaps. 100+ years, it's not easy to deploy technology in a legacy organization like that, let alone play around with AI and GenAI. And yet Bank of Baroda has been moving pretty fast on that trajectory. So tell us a little bit about, what's happening with generative AI, what kind of customer data are you tracking, what insights are you getting from it, and particularly for marketing, is there something happening specifically there?
Yeah, thank you. As you said, we are a 117-year-old organization and we are celebrating our foundation day this 20th July. And we see AI is not new for us actually. Way back in 2019 itself, we have started investing not in the present form, but in a different form. So as a strategy point of view, we would have it as a 4 pillar of this present, how we are going to use AI. One is on how we are going to have the infrastructure and capacity building. We had invested in data lake way back in 2019, and the hiring of specialized resources and skills. We are already very deeply, you would have seen our advertisements on recruitment, on specialized skills on this front. This is the second pillar. The third is what kind of use cases which we can drive for customer experience enhancement and improving efficiency of our process. And fourth is governance. In fact, I was talking to our CTO just coming before for this session. He was, we are actually coming up with, like he said, the Adi model. We are also working on a virtual relationship model completely powered by AI, and for internal for our staff to assist our customers. There's a complete 360-degree view of a completely GenAI powered. Coming to digital assets and other campaigns, we have already started. We have more than 8,500 plus branches. We have already digitized them with hyper localized microsite. Now I have all these digital sites ready. Now I have to push content to them. I have to know that which part of the country, which customer is visiting, which type of client is need to be serviced, which product need to be showed. So we are much ahead, but still we are not jumping into it. We are having a very clear-cut strategy on how we are going to approach this.
Right. Ravi, so all of you are in some form, playing around with AI, experimenting with it, doing some sort of similar stuff. How then do you differentiate from each other? Because at the end of the day, you're all competitors sitting here at the same table, and thank you for that. But Ravi, then, for instance, how will HDFC Bank really create a unique voice while using AI for communication that everybody else is also using?
Good question, because this is one of the biggest challenges when we talked about Gen AI. I want to differentiate between AI and Gen AI, because I think AI has been there for the last 25 years. And using prediction models, AI, machine learning and all has been used for a long period of time. And we in HDFC Bank say today prediction is passing. Prescription is what we are looking at. Like, suggest what the consumer should be doing next based on whatever is the history that we have and how to make that happen. That's more important for us than tell me like, oh, he will take a product. How to make that happen is what we are interested in, and that's what we all keep doing. Whereas Gen AI is the one which has come in from a perspective of creative content delivery at scale that you were not able to do earlier. And that's where the challenge is, because if everybody has the same tool, then in what way you are going to be different compared to somebody else? It can't be only prompt engineering that we all talk about, because at the end of the day, it's language and all of us have good control over language. So what we have been doing is experimenting, and we believe that we are in the exploratory stage of Gen AI. And I don't believe anybody is using Gen AI anywhere as of now. Everybody is trying on the consumer service side on chatbots. Yeah. Most of the organizations are trying on the marketing side, because this is one of the best use cases where you don't have any privacy concerns, because it's pure communication. There is no personal data which is being transferred across. And we are building our own models using open source also to figure out what kind of a brand voice that we can bring in that element when it is predicting a certain amount of content for us, when it is creating some amount of content for us. Then we have put the entire brand book, the brand guidelines, our tone of voice, and what is it that we want to convey into that tool, and we say that you have to learn. And we also start telling the AI saying, I don't want to be like this bank. So we're also trying to give all the communication of all the other banks also and say, okay, this is HDFC Bank, these are the other banks. I want to be like this, but I also don't want to be like this, so that we can try and find a unique voice. We're still in the exploratory stages. Time will tell us in terms of how it will progress in that direction.
So when we're talking about, say, enhancing creativity and productivity of people, especially in the marketing function, and if I can come to you, Anoop, at Axis Bank, do you have use cases where AI has really enhanced the creativity of a person, or in the marketing function, or perhaps productivity, because we know that you can outsource mundane repetitive tasks to AI or automation, and those get done?
Well, to be honest, I think we're not there yet. We're just starting to play around with the tech. And like your previous question, I think the tool is available to all of us, right? We all have some amount of money we can spend. And I think our CEO is on record saying that it's going to be table stakes if you all use the tech the same way. Right? So I think the idea of experimentation that everybody is talking about is to try and figure out what's your unique way of using it. I think the only place I can say we've used it without using it is we've actually made a film about AI and what could be the pitfalls, and how, if like we ran one campaign last year on Women's Day that brought out the biases that I won't name the AI, but has when you talk to them about finance. So if you're a man, if you ask how do you explain finance to a man versus how do you explain finance to a woman, if you look at the answers, they're actually very telling about about how society is and how you've trained the AI, right? So it for the woman it told you about the analogy of the dresses and how you do shopping, and for the guy it was about numbers and stuff like that. So that's where we've shown some creativity. I think that's the kind of creativity we'll have to bring back eventually when we start using it. So I cannot say we have an experiment that we have done yet, but we are starting to play around with the tech. But I do think that using the impact of that in pop culture, lives around us and our consumers is also going to be a very important part of using the tech, not just using the tool.
And Tuhina, at IBM, of course, you're working with a lot of CMOs across the globe. How are you helping them navigate this challenge of achieving hyper-personalization, yes, but also managing risk and compliance, because that's important in a sector like banking that we're talking about today, right?
That is the building block. What you ask of the data, but what is the data that you feed the AI with is the outcome that it gives you eventually, right? And one of the most important things is how transparent, what is the data? Can you see it? Is the model transparent enough? Is that something that will hold out in a governance court, or the amount of litigation and court cases that we've seen around generative AI, not getting into the names, that's not where you want to get. One of the interesting facts, when we actually analyze the enterprise, some of the models, when they do really well in a test environment, but when you put it to production or scale, they don't really do as well, right? And there is this timeliness to the data. There is that real-time element to how effective your models are. And I think at IBM, one of the things is we are saying, and we are working with our clients to say, can we spend more time on your foundation models? Can we represent your data in your models more? Can we proof them for inherent biases, for instance? Can then train and test on your data? Can we put in your governance clause, your brand guidelines, the tonality in it? It's hard work. Generative AI is not that magic wand, it's hard work. But if we do invest in it now, and which is what I think I'm hearing everyone say, that it will start to yield results in phases. All of you have a role to play, right? Where do you prioritize your bets and money and resources? So one of the things that you will keep hearing from IBM is responsible AI is responsible business. And we are over-investing on the governance piece so that we are accountable to our customers, and eventually they can scale and sustain in the long run.
Okay, good to know that. But Nipun, when we talk about harnessing AI or Gen AI for that matter, for business, for marketing, various functions, what are the success metrics that you would be tracking? As the CMO especially, what are your parameters that yes, this piece of technology was worth it and we are getting the ROI?
Right. So going back to your first question, that all of us have the same platforms available to us, but if I step back even 10, 15 years back, still we all had the same products. Now, whether it was the era of machine learning coming in, then big data coming in, we all have the same thing. I mean, we have had advertising agencies also which have been changing hands from one bank to the other, and the same creative person moving from one company to the other. If I also compare a savings account, whether it is Ravi's bank, my bank, Anoop, Rohit, it's the same. A savings account is a savings account.
Only the bank balance might differ.
Bank balance might different. So when you have a certain, say a super HNI, he might be dealing with all of us. He will not put the entire money at one place, how much ever we like that to happen. So I think it is more of the fact that how well you utilize the service of AI or generative AI, and that will also depend on the man behind the gun. So how good that person is, that means I think the larger challenge what we will have is how many talent do we have who knows how to use it. I think beyond a point all of us will be struggling for the same talent pool. So having said that, when I say ROI, I'm doing a campaign, I want to cross-sell a specific product. Now, live example is you create a segment where I've seen somebody has used his credit card to buy tickets to go abroad. Now, that data is all available to us. Can I, give him a FX card, Forex card, or can I give him schemes on the debit card or his credit card itself? Is that available today? Yes, it is available today. I think more important to get an ROI will be what will be my conversion rates. Have I been able to bring up these spend ratios or able to sell product? If I was doing X amount today by using this technology, is it X plus something? And at what cost? I think that's something which is very nascent right now, I think from the marketing standpoint.
So AI can also help gauge public sentiment. It can pick up conversations, especially on social media. And all of you have social media channels now that your banks are tracking. So Senthil, if I can come to you at Bank of Baroda, are you doing anything like that, gauging public sentiment from the chatter that's happening, the user-generated content that's happening about the bank? And is that helping you respond proactively as a marketer?
Yeah, in social media, we are having specific tools to track our conversations or tonality, and it is really helping us. Maybe we are not directly doing it, but through our subsidiary or through our agency, we are doing it. It's able to track the conversation and give automated responses, which are mostly frequently asked questions or any information which can be readily given, so that the response is on the table through that model. But however, it's only hardly, if you say it can be only 20% of the queries which run on this model, but the rest of it, because it's not more only on information or any kind of a simple query that it can be responded through these tools, but majority of the queries in social media, it requires to understanding of the customer's actual issue and then related to the bank's policy and then communicating. Although we are preliminarily we are doing this to meet the TAT for the basic queries of the customer, but there is still a lot of effort which needs to get into such kind of complex queries in social media, which can really bring a kind of a different tonality to the entire brand itself. So it's a very sensitive area, which I think that it's too preliminary to dwell upon on these tools, but at the same time, to solve simple questions, make it the TAT and the response to be better, we have already started using that in this model.
That's good to know. So let's also bring out some of the challenges that you all are facing with harnessing AI, even though you're in early stages. Perhaps a lot more challenges right now than solutions. But if we can just kick that door open, Ravi, the effectiveness of AI largely depends on the volume and the quality of the data that you have, right? So volume is clearly not a problem in a country like India. When it comes to quality, how would you rate that aspect, and what more needs to be done to improve that so that there are better models, there's better response that the machine can give to queries?
See, I think that problem most of us would have solved if you have started the journey early, because as I said, artificial intelligence is like at least 15 years old. So when you develop models, you start using your own spank data, and you need to understand, oh, this is not in the format that can be used. So you have cleaned up a lot of these stuff, and it is now in a much, much better shape in terms of this. But the governance that we were talking about is, whatever this AI model is going to do, we said very clearly within HDFC Bank, we want an explainable AI. What is explainable? The outcome that is coming out, we need to know why. We should understand how it has reached that particular outcome, whether it is a product proposition that it is coming out as a prediction or a prescription that it is doing. Because it's not only here that we are using AI, we are also using it on the credit side, we are also using it on the collection side, we are also using it in multiple places. And the modeling is very similar in terms of the nature that we do. Right. The best place to actually go ahead and do a lot of experimentation is on the marketing side. Because the mistakes that you can do is maximum, instead of a credit card A, you will go ahead and put a credit card B in front of the customer. Right. Whereas you can't afford to do the same kind of mistake when it comes to a credit or a collection or something. So most of the experimentation happens on this side, and this is all within the walls of the garden that we have created, and it is not GenAI as of now. That is where I think marketing has taken the lead in terms of acceptance of AI within the banks. Because here you can afford to make mistakes. It's not a great problem area. But if you are able to get the explainability of the modeling that you have done, it gives the confidence for the organization to start using it in the other areas. Yeah. Then the quality of the data, actually it's an enterprise data. You use the same data to see what should be the next best action for a customer. The credit analytics team uses the same data to figure out whether we can actually provide the credit. Or not. So data cleaning is an organization-wide job. I think most of us have moved a long way in that, because this all started maybe 5-10 years back. Today, I don't see that as a problem.
Okay. So that building block is sorted, and that's not a problem. Okay. And Rohit, the other big thing is, security, especially when it comes to financial data, right? And compliance, of course, all of you have spoken about a little bit, but we are also in the era of scams and data breaches, because technology, scamsters are also moving at the same pace, perhaps a little faster than everybody else. So how do banks then really ensure data privacy and maintain the ethical and responsible AI practices like Tuhina was talking about? And what more needs to be done on this front as we leapfrog into the future as far as GenAI is concerned?
I think for me, on security bit, if you hear and see, most of the fraud which happen is how fraudsters are able to take advantage of the gullibility of an individual.
People, yeah.
I think our security systems are robust, that you don't see a lot frauds happening there. The biggest fraud is it's all about greed. I think what fraudsters are doing is to understand what are the places that they can take advantage of an individual, and creating propositions for that individual to be able to take advantage of his money. Because you're not seeing the same thing happening for the last 10 years. Every 6 months a new thing is coming. You heard of deep fakes coming, where someone is impersonating your voice.
Yeah, I was just going to come to that.
Yeah. So, and finally the action has to be taken by the customer. So how can you educate the customer, understanding what could be the potential use cases which should come? So I think that's one case. The other one are where how do you, again, when you see a transaction happening, or I'll give an example, an old person in the bank using a card at 2 o'clock in the morning raises a red flag, we block that person's card. 1 out of 10 cases may be a genuine case, but 9 out of 10 cases may be fraud cases. So again, finding those use cases where people are getting fooled by fraudsters and being able to take predictive action on that, so that no one loses their money because of that. I think that's where AI can help us be one step ahead of fraudsters. That's what we must do.
And Anoop, if I can come to you now, obviously AI is evolving at a really, really rapid speed, and the skilling initiatives that we have, whether it's public initiatives or private sector initiatives, are not going to be able to match that speed in a country as vast and populous as India. So one of these, this is a top challenge. AI inclusion is a challenge. AI skills is a challenge. Any, thoughts, any suggestions, any solutions on that front?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any solutions, but I think it's a proper challenge, right? And not just skills, even your org structures. Are you prepared for an organization where AI is available to everybody, or everybody in marketing at least? I don't think so. I don't even know what that looks like. It's something that keeps me up at night, right? But in terms of, I think, inclusion, we don't have that problem because we've got teams, we've got marketing professionals out there. And that's not to do with AI, but the tool might make it easier for us to collaborate, like it makes it easier for the organization to collaborate now because all the information can be looked at and given to an. But I do think that curiosity that marketers need is still important. You could give, I know that somebody in HR sent out 6 courses to my team day before yesterday. They need to do it, right? But unless they do it, they need to realize that they're going to be out of a job, or their jobs might get threatened because they don't know enough, right? And I think it's not just for my team, it's for all of us in this room as well.
So Nipun, if I can come to you, if we look at it from a marketing lens, this could then tomorrow mean discriminatory targeting amongst consumers. It could mean exclusion or reinforcing certain types of stereotypes that exist in society, and Anoop had touched upon their campaign earlier. So in the long term, this could all lead to some sort of customer trust erosion, loyalty erosion for banks. What kind of checks and balances should organizations, not just banks, any organization, be putting in place for this?
Today, I think we are at a stage where all of us are experimenting with it, but at the same time, the talent is being prepared about it. I think the larger question will be how good is the quality of that talent to avoid any of these situations where you have a discrimination or maybe a something which is non-cultural which goes out can happen. There could be cultural sensitivities across different states. Yeah. So I think so largely it's going to be the quality of training and how conscious we are. We may not go 100% auto mode on AI as marketers and have the human lens still continuing in it to avoid these kind of situations. And I think once we master that art, the other departments are also going to leverage, as Ravi said, marketing is more about experimenting also, and both have to work hand in hand in this quality. You give a Ferrari to a guy who's driving an auto, he's going to ram it.
Right. And Senthil, at Bank of Baroda, how are you navigating the whole talent pool challenge?
Yeah, we are continuously upgrading and hiring new talent. So a lot of not only on the skilling part, but the way we interact with customers, the way we segment customers and how to deal with those customers. A lot of work is going on in that area, and how we are going to address these different wide range of profile of customers we are having. And certainly I agree that skilling is as I said, it's one of the 4 pillars I said. That was the second pillar, where we also have to have the specialized skilling and resources to be there. I just want to tell some example, maybe offhand hoga, ki today we are all, most of us are bankers here. My daughter, I was going 12th standard, she wanted to do some payment. So I said, it was written that you have to take a DD for 1,000 rupees. So I just reminded her, have you taken the DD? So she said, what is DD? Okay. So you really, DD is so common that anybody in our generation will know what is DD. But today, maybe a student doesn't know what exactly is DD. They are so much into the payment and other things. DD is no more a product for the next generation. So
and soon that's going to happen to checkbooks also.
Yeah. So what I was just wondering, why we are a banker, and when I asked her, she doesn't know what's a DD, because the DD has lost its relevance, and still there are institutions which are asking for DD. So it's not that it's there is certain requirement which a DD will still be there. So there's a lot of diversity in the customer segment, which these tools are going to really address, and the right. So today I'm going to say DD free doesn't make any sense to this segment, because they don't know what is DD. Yeah. So why do I put that content to them on that? So I will say this demographic, remove that DD, put something else. So it's totally complex. It's not going to be simple. And certainly there's this kind of selection, hyper-personalization is going to bring a lot of efficiency into the system.
Shifting gears, and as we come to the close of this conversation, Tuhina, I want to come back to responsible AI. And there is a gold rush for GenAI right now in the market. Everyone wants to try it out. Everyone wants to experiment. Everyone wants to play around with it. And IBM has squarely been focused on responsible AI, overstating it, over-investing in it. When you look at responsible AI from a marketing lens, why is that important? With speed, because today speed is the order of the day. It's a highly competitive, cutthroat market. Yeah. Give us a sense then of what are the, say, top 2 or 3 pillars of responsible AI that brands should be looking at.
Absolutely. So it's about, you don't want to miss the woods for the trees. As simple as that. You want to make money, you want to grow your top line, but you want to do it in a way that is sustainable, safe, and you stay in the business. And responsibly, actually, a lot of you did talk about the various facets of it. If you talk about robustness, and Rohit talked about robustness, is it really has taken the safety measures, it is robust enough, that matters. Fairness, Anoop talked about it. The inherent bias, profanity, the gender bias, all of that creeps into the data, and it should be able to be fair. Privacy in a banking industry, that matters a lot, so it needs to be able to address that as well. And then, of course, there is the whole transparency and fairness that we overstate. And therefore, one of the parts that I talked about, that we need to invest time in building our foundation models, which are unique to us and our voice and our service and our culture. We are in that stage, we are going through a culture shift. AI is a muscle we all have to develop, and the skills and the talent and how we interact with it. And to that extent, I will pretty much repeat that responsible AI is responsible business from my perspective. Those are the dimensions of responsible AI, really. And it can't really solve, right? The intent, what you input, the tool can operationalize your policy, but policy is still your responsibility. Right. I don't think we can kind of outsource our job to tools or AI. We just need to augment the two together.
Absolutely. So, obviously, it's clear that the man-machine collaboration or woman-machine collaboration or AI and human collaboration is here to stay. So I'm going to give 30 seconds to each of you to put on your marketer hats and perhaps envision the future and think about what it's going to look like. Maybe we can't say 10 years, it's too far out, perhaps 5 years from now. Will humans still reign supreme when it comes to especially the creativity part of it? Or is AI going to take away the most fun part of our jobs? Like for me as a journalist, writing is a fun thing that I do, or shooting is a fun thing that I do, and AI is taking away parts of that. Should we be worried about that? What do you think the future is going to look like? Ravi?
We have, millions and billions of years of history, and human ingenuity has always trumped everything so far. So I don't believe in the next 5 years human ingenuity is going to be trumped by some machine. But what I do believe is going to happen is the routinity in the task will be taken over, but the big ideas, which are what we are all known for, that will still continue to be with the humans. And people who are able to work with AI as their colleague, as their support, will do much better than people who don't want to get that support. That's where I see it happening.
All right.
AI will actually help humans do a better job at everything that they do. But the ability to make AI help you do that completely depends on humans. So if you assume that you will be sitting and feeling worried that someone will kind of come tomorrow and take away my job, I don't think so that's going to happen. But what should happen is the fact that how can you help AI help you better? And for me, I was reflecting one day, we'd gone to one Google event. And I was just reflecting that I think possibly the best example of AI in the last 20 years has been Google search. Because just imagine today you want to know anything about anything. What is the first thing you do? Is to go onto Google and search.
Correct.
Now, how has Google search become so good at being able to give you the best quality information? Some human has been able to program it using reams and reams of data to be able to help it predict better. And I think that is for me where the man-machine combination is to work beautifully together so that you can ask the machine and enable the machine to help you better. And that's when you will kind of really achieve a strong improvement in whatever you do.
Anoop, your thoughts?
I think to a certain extent we're all androids now because we have a phone in our hand or in our pocket. So we're not just humans. It's attached to us all the time, and it's something that's happened to us without us realizing it, right? So I do think that eventually the way this tech is going to go is also that it's going to be part of our lives. And like people don't know a DD, like, you know, it's like saying when you go back to college, there was an STD booth and the guy is looking at you saying, STD booth, wo kya hota hai, right? So I think the next generation is going to grow up on this and get used to it. I do think that people like us could become dinosaurs if we don't obviously adapt to it. I also do think that people are building, like Tuhina was talking about us building our own generative AI system for each of our organizations, right? So it's generally built with a certain amount of intent. I'm actually worried if somebody, picks up saying, I want to teach this particular AI all the knowledge in the world. That's when it becomes dangerous, right? Because none of us have that power, and that's when, and I believe that movies generally predict the future. Yeah. So that is something that's scary. But today, if we continue to teach the AI what we want to teach it, we should be okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nipun?
So Darwin's theory was of evolution. Humans have been evolving. Earlier they were hunched back, then they became straight. Now with the mobile we are again hunched back. And if we see, even in history, if you see, when first time the cars or the automobile was made, there were a lot of articles and discussion that they go at 10 to 15 miles per hour, which is extremely dangerous. We have overcome that. And as Ravi said, end of the day, the human is going to survive. And we know exactly where to tame the tiger. So yes, it's the tiger in the room. You tame it. It is for your use. If you don't tame it, it's got the other side to it. So I think let's see what the future holds.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic about this, and in fact, I'm also a little contradiction that it's going to increase the human requirement also. The creativity in human is going to be used to develop use cases or find use cases of which the opportunity is there with AI. So there's going to be multiplication of requirements of human involvement in how creative we are in using AI to drive efficiency and increase customer experiences in a much better way. The opportunity is immense, and there is to supplement that, there is going to be an equal opportunity from human side to work on it and develop it further. It's going to be a multiplying factor. That's what my personal view is.
Right. Tuhina, final word, please.
I would say it's augmented sweet spot, as I talked about. It's not going to be either or. It is pretty much and it's a relationship over a period of time. It's going to be hard work. It's a long-term investment, long-term returns. Since we are in the banking space right now, I think that is the work. If we do know what we want out of AI and we are on that journey for a while with a plan at a design approach, I think we'll get there and world will be more exciting. In fact, I was talking to another peer of mine and they said, hey, can we get 4-hour week with AI? That's the holy grail, but that's going to be a long one. And I think we can achieve a lot if we stay on the journey in a designed and a more programmatic way.
Gentlemen, Tuhina, thank you so much for joining us here today and sharing those very, very valuable insights. Well, despite all the concerns and challenges around harnessing AI, an MMA Global Survey report actually says that 73% people believe that AI will significantly enhance marketing capabilities, while also acknowledging that it will not replace human creativity and expertise. Hope you enjoyed all the insights today on AI Dialogues on this marketing special. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Goodbye.
CNBC TV 18 presents the AI Dialogues in association with IBM.